In this lesson, we're going to look at substituting values into expressions and then calculating the overall value. Now, for this particular question, we're asked to show full method. We're given a value of a being 2, b is 3, and c is negative 2. We just need to be careful with this negative here. Now, when showing full method, the first step is the substitution step. It's a bit like if you're playing soccer or netball and you're substituting a player. You bring a player off the field and you bring this substitute on. So you're swapping those. Same thing with algebraic substitution. What we're doing is we're replacing the pronumeral with the value, and I need to show that step. So let's have a look at how we do this. So this is the substitution step. No calculations are performed. It's just a straightforward substitution. Here we have 4 multiplied by a, but a is 2. So this is 4 multiplied by 2. So that is the substitution. The a is substituted for 2. We've got that plus, and then 2b, well, that is 2 multiplied by the value of b, which is 3. So that's the substitution step completed. Now we can start to perform any calculations. So 4 multiplied by 2 is 8, plus 2 multiplied by 3 is 6, and then 8 plus 6 is 14. So the final answer is 14. On to this second question, and again, I'm going to perform the substitution step. I need to be careful here because this c value is actually negative. And what I like to do when I'm dealing with negatives, I always put them in brackets. So we've got 3a here, which means 3 multiplied by 2. I've then got this plus, and then I've got my c value, which is negative 2. I'm going to put that in brackets, so negative 2 like that. Okay. Next step is some calculation. So 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. I've got a plus and a minus. A plus and a minus is a minus and 2. 6 subtract the 2 is 4. Next example, a squared. Well, a is 2. So we've got 2 squared. We've got the plus. Now c squared, remembering this c is a negative value, so we're going to put that in brackets, so negative 2 squared. So that is my substitution step. Let's perform some calculations. Well, 2 squared is 4. We've got the plus. Now, negative 2 squared means negative 2 multiplied by negative 2. So those two negatives will be positive. Well, I've already got a positive here, and 2 positives are still that plus. So we've got 4. All right, so negative 2 squared is 4. And 4 plus 4 is 8. Next example, got to be careful here. We've got a few negatives occurring. We've got the negative 3 multiplied by the a value, which is 2, minus, and the c value, well, the c value is negative 2, and we'll pop that in brackets, negative 2. Equals underneath. Negative 3 multiplied by the 2, negative 3 multiplied by a positive 2, that's going to be negative 6. We've then got these 2 negatives here. 2 negatives are positive, and then we've got the 2. So we've got negative 6, add 2. Again, be careful with this. Some students might put negative 8, but if you're starting with, say, a thermometer at negative 6 and the temperature increases by 2, you'll end up at negative 4. Next question. We've got negative 2 multiplied by a squared. Well, a is 2, so it's 2 squared, minus the b value, and b is 3. So we're going to follow the rules of BODMAS here. We deal with any brackets and then any powers. Well, I've got a power here, 2 squared. So that's the bit that I'm going to do first. That's the first calculation. So equals underneath, and then just write everything left to right. So -2 multiplied by, I've hit this red line, so I perform this calculation. 2 squared is 4, and then subtract 3. Going to perform the multiplication next. So we've got -2 multiplied by 4, which is -8, and then we're subtracting 3. And again, think of that thermometer. If the temperature is at -8 and then it drops, we're subtracting another 3, we have -11. On to the final question here. So we've got this bracket, and then we've got the A value, which is 2. We are subtracting the C value, which is -2. So I'll pop that in brackets, -2 bracket. And then we've got this other bracket here. I'll draw it slightly bigger. And then we've got squared. Again, following the rules of BODMAS here, we need to deal with this inner bracket set here. So we've got 2 minus -2. Well, 2 negatives make a positive. So this becomes 2 plus 2. I'm going to write that. So 2 plus 2, bracket and squared. What I get here is 2 plus 2 is 4. So we get 4 squared, and 4 squared, 4 multiplied by 4 is 16.